From Easy Trigger Games comes Huntdown, your new favourite mindless blaster. Done in the same pixel arty style as other shoot 'em ups before, such as Broforce, and with very much the same style and sense of humour as it, Huntdown sees you pick one of 3 bounty hunters and assigns you various targets, and then allows you to unleash all manner of hell across a ravaged, lawless city inhabited by a number of gangs and a police force so useless they wouldn't look out of place in a RoboCop movie. The 3 bounty hunters you get to choose from are the One-Eyed Anaconda, the absurdly steel-jawed John Sawyer, and Moman, who is a recon droid. Then you, and a friend if you want, will proceed to blast 7 shades of shit out of a veritable army of goons, punks, samurai, seriously, and other assorted 80s stereotypes, with a dizzying array of whatever weaponry you can find. Yeah, salty ain't the name of this game. If the characters you get to choose from and the hilariously over-the-top cutscenes don't bring that sense, then the first 5 minutes of gameplay will hammer at home. This is not a game to be played timidly. You're to take the fight to the enemy in as brutal a manner as possible, and crack-wise while doing it. Much like Broforce, Huntdown is an all-out homage to the era of batshit ridiculous action movies. So the comparisons with Broforce are obvious. The game utilises a pixel art style running at 60 FPS to give that new but old but it's really new feel. The characters are ludicrous, but the only consideration is that they be as hilarious as possible. Like one of them isn't even fucking human. The cutscenes are delivered in the most action movie method possible, the orders being handed down from a wizened, malevolently knitting overseer called the Wolf Mother. All the gangs have names like the Misconducts and the Hoodlum Dogs, who look like a particularly naff hair metal band. The bosses and sub-bosses are all massive, each with their own stages and styles of combat. So it's crude, brash and not even remotely restrained. So far so good. The levels are all sprawling, destroyed cityscapes sporting a frankly huge amount of detail. It's actually quite impressive how many little details they've managed to cram into every scene. It really gives you a feel of a decaying city on the brink of collapsing into itself. So it plays well, looks good and is as fun as hell. What's not to love? A fair amount, unfortunately. The voice acting is mostly good, until it's bad, and then it's really fucking bad. The main characters are all voiced very well and the sound design and music are really good. However, the voices for the enemies and the bosses get really repetitive really quickly. Special mentions have to go to the sub-bosses Mad Murdoch, who endlessly repeats the same phrase over and over again until the midpoint of his battle, whereby he switches to simply howling at the top of his fucking lungs. And the hovering sniper boss, whose 3 crap lines are repeated so often throughout the fight that I genuinely thought it was an actual tactic to get you to rage quit the game rather than put your ears through any more of our trite garbage jokes. An easy to reach mute button is fucking essential for the bosses in this game. I'm serious. I actually looked up if it was possible to bind the mute button to one of the spare ones on my controller. Spoiler alert, you can't.
Next time, I'm keeping the body. I know people who pay good money for it.
Also, one of the holdovers from its gaming homages are the level of cheeseball moves that some enemies come equipped with. From the chain gun wielding enemies who just fire long streams of bullets into the areas you have to jump into, forcing you to either stop moving and wait for them to finish, or to try and hit them with a thrown weapon. There's the obligatory jetpack enemies who will suicide you whenever you kill them, and the homing missiles that pick and choose what ledges and floors they can fly through in order to hit you. This game is filled with loads and loads of cheap shots. The chief one being that, while the enemy's bullets can travel through an unlimited amount of other enemies, your bullets don't have any penetration whatsoever. This means that groups of enemies, which you'll encounter an awful lot, are impossible to kill cleanly, as all your initial rounds will just be absorbed by the first guy in the rank, whereas the shots from all his buddies behind him will pass straight through at you. It's really annoying, as groups can't just be blasted through, guns blazing. If you've no explosives, then you're reduced to just picking them off one at a time. And it's here that one of the game's main focus points is highlighted as quite badly thought out. Each stage has 3 achievements: kill a certain amount of bad guys, pick up 3 stash crates, and complete the level without dying. The main issue is that these, bar the killing one, run completely contrary to how the game is supposed to be played. It's a fast-paced, foul-mouthed action shooter, not a fucking looter. Actually, that's giving Huntdown a bit too much credit, as the stash crates give you nothing in return. Seriously, there's no point in picking any of them up other than for the shit achievement. Similarly, the no death achievement completely stinks out the place. In order to do this one, you'll have to crawl through each level at a fucking snail's pace, picking off enemies from the other side of the screen. That's not how the game is meant to be played. You're meant to enjoy trying to hockey your way into as much of the enemies as possible before dying, not turtling your way through it like it's fucking Dark Souls. For all its comparisons to Broforce, this game would have been better off emulating the Metal Slug series, as the layout and concept would have suited that game style far better. So even while I crapped all over this game for the past few minutes, I do still recommend it. It's fun and funny in places, even if it's really trying too hard for the most part. But where the game really shines is the co-op. Here's where you social types really hit pay dirt. As a 2-player, Huntdown is fantastic. It really is. The ability to revive one another helps to erase most of the deficiencies of Huntdown as a single player. If you have the ability to do this with a friend, you will love it. Much like everything else in life. So, in short, Huntdown is a flawed single player game masking a flawless 2-player one. The story, graphics and characters are vivid and funny enough to keep the laughs going, and the action is, for the most part, very well done. My advice, get a friend, get some beers and ignore the achievements. Only then will you truly enjoy this game as it was meant to be.
Bounty collected.